Hello, Phil from the future here. If you came here for Doom Foretold doing its thing, please consider skipping to round 5. Enjoy the show. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. Today's video is sponsored by moxfield.com and we'll take a look at them after round 1. So I got kind of an interesting message from someone named Keenan this morning who talked about how they played Lurrus of the Dream Den alongside Doom Foretold in other formats, and they were wondering if we could maybe make it work in Legacy or in some other format. So, Doom Foretold is kind of a neat card. It's sort of a pseudo smokestacks effect. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices a non-land, non-token permanent. If that player can't, they discard a card, lose 2 life, you draw a card, you gain 2 life, you create a 2/2 white knight creature token with vigilance, and then you sacrifice Doom Foretold. So the general idea, and I believe it was a historic deck list, was to use Lurrus to replay things from your graveyard so that like you break parity on the Doom Foretold. And that's kind of a really neat idea. Unfortunately, Lurrus is banned. But there is a card that bears somewhat of a resemblance, and that's Serra Paragon. It's a 3/4 flyer, and once during each of your turns, you may play a land from your graveyard or cast a permanent spell with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard. If you do, it gains whenever this permanent is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, exile it, and you gain 2 life. So, the general idea here is that we're going to try to shove this into an Enchantress shell. Number one, because Doom Foretold is an enchantment, and it just kind of makes sense, and it's really cool if it cantrips and draws a card. Number two, if we are just going to play any random enchantment that is going to cantrip at least once, maybe more than one time when we play it, sacrificing 1 card a turn doesn't really matter all that much because we can just refuel. And if, we use this as an edict for a permanent or two, and then we have to sacrifice this to itself, that's not that big of a deal at the end of the day. Now, there is a downside here. If we want to care about our graveyard for something like Serra Paragon, that means that we can't play, like, Rest in Peace. At least not in the main deck, so we're going to have to turn to other places for our graveyard hate. Generally speaking, the way that we are going to win is by activating Destiny Spinner a couple of times, creating some very large elemental creature tokens with trample and haste, and destroying our opponents. We actually don't need to activate it that many times if we have Paladin class, because we can give our attacking creature +1/+1 and double strike. Well, okay, sorry, it's +1/+1 for each other attacking creature as well as double strike. So it's pretty gross. In case you're not overly familiar with the strategy, we're a card draw deck that has some prison elements as well. So for example, one of the most common ways that this deck, air quotes, wins is by playing Solitary Confinement. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice this unless you discard a card. You get to skip your draw step. That, sounds scary, but it's not that scary if you have a bunch of Enchantress effects in play. And prevent all damage that would be dealt to you. So this is kind of a one-sided prison effect that, I don't know, like, say it had, like, Shroud or something, it might be pretty hard to remove. So this is going to be our overall strategy. Vomit enchantments onto the battlefield, and use Serra's Sanctum to play big mana cards that normally we can't play in Legacy. Is Serra Paragon too cute? Probably. Is Doom Foretold too cute? Probably. But this is really interesting design space, and I do want to see where it goes. As far as the sideboard goes here, I've opted for a narrow sideboard rather than a wide sideboard. So I've just picked some of the things that I'm expecting to see most in Legacy Leagues online, and I've decided to hate on those things rather than trying to have a flexible sideboard that absolutely deals with everything. One of the big things that I wanted to make sure that I have game versus fast graveyard combo decks. So I have a playset of Endurance as well as Deafening Silence for that route. And for the artifact theme decks, I've chosen 2 Green Sun Zenith as well as Collector Oof. Now, Green Sun as a sideboard option might sound kind of cool, or sorry, might sound kind of weird, but ultimately what it's going to allow me to do is if I have some matchups where like this or maybe this are going to be too slow, and I don't necessarily have good cards to board in for those slots, I can board in Green Sun there. Otherwise, rounding out the deck list, we have some Chokes and Carpet of Flowers to make us even better versus blue decks, and I'm not going to lie to you, I'm kind of hedging against them in the Game 1 scenarios anyway. Alright, let's go ahead and hop into the league here and see how we do. If you're new here, please consider subscribing if you like what you see, and if you're a regular, please throw me a like before this video begins. That's the easiest way to support my content for free. Let's battle. Alright, I have kept my round 1 opening hand here. I have some Enchantress effects, 2 Enchantress effects, as well as 2 mana ramp effects, so this is going to be pretty ideal in a lot of ways. And how I play out from here might be dictated by what my opponent does this turn. I have 3 mana next turn, 4 if I play Wild Growth. That is an Underground Sea. Oh, shoot, we're going now. Alright. Alright, my opponent took a while, but they have resolved their pile. I'm pretty much dead. I'm not literally dead, but I'm pretty much dead. So the way that I win probably involves playing Destiny Spinner and at some point top decking a Serra Sanctum. So Solitary Confinement isn't going to do anything. Most of my permanents are not going to do anything. Yeah, I just have to get my opponent dead. Grab a Savannah here at no cost to myself. Alright. Yeah, this is awkward. I think I'm just going to go ahead and Wild Growth this land and, air quotes, waste a mana. I guess technically I'm supposed to play the Destiny Spinner first. I don't think that matters. This game is not about drawing cards. This game is about attacking my opponent's life total before they can kill me, which I think is incredibly unlikely, for the record. Like, I think I lose this turn a huge portion of the time. I don't know exactly what my opponent's deck configuration looks like, but my opponent goes to 7. Are they dead if I top deck a Sanctum? That's a Carpet of Flowers. Not quite it. So this is 4 to activate. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 in my first main phase. That's not quite what I want. I can always kill my opponent next turn. Alright. Let's, I guess, get weird. Play Sithis. I can play Carpet of Flowers here to draw a card. That gets me a life. Yep, that's a bad draw. I attack for 2 here, bringing my opponent to 5. But my opponent almost certainly kills me here. I can't do anything with 2 mana. So I'm almost certainly dead here, right? The opponent just plays Oracle. Yep. Very unexciting game. Alright. A huge portion of my cards are not good here. So, like, Doom Foretold, Serra Paragon, Doomwake Giant, On Thin Ice, Solitary Confinement, and to a lesser extent also Oblivion Ring are just not good. Deafening Silence is playable, Choke is playable, Endurances are good. I guess Collector Oof is playable, Carpet of Flowers is fine. Not good, just fine. This leaves me relatively win condition light. Like, I'm boarding out 3 win conditions, and Solitary Confinement isn't really a win condition here. I wonder if I'm supposed to play Green Sun for Destiny Spinner. A copy of Green Sun or 2 might be better than, say, Collector Oof. Collector Oof is not particularly strong. This is just a nightmare matchup that I never want to play. I think I'm going to play the Collector Oof. This is a no from me, I think. It's just a little awkward. This hand probably does cool stuff on turn 3, but I'm dead by turn 3, I think, if I don't mulligan into a hand that does something. Well, this does something. I can keep this. I throw back a Forest, and I probably have to throw back Destiny Spinner. This is not a feel-good hand here. I'll I'll play Utopia Sprawl on green, I guess. I'm pretty bad versus Thoughtseize here. I also think I kind of have to just play the Enchantress's Presence on turn 2 and maybe drop Endurance. Okay. That's very aggressive. I'm not saying it's wrong, it's just very aggressive. Sure. Are we just gonna Dark Ritual Doomsday on turn 1? No, okay, sure. No shuffle. That is a Wild Growth. That's fine. That allows me to play Enchantress's Presence next turn. I have Endurance as a safety net, but I do not have Endurance as a safety net. My opponent pitched a Doomsday, too. Alright, yeah. As expected, I lose Endurance. And we'll see where things go from here. This is a very low-to-the-ground version of the deck if they are running Grief. I have to top deck something relevant, or I imagine I'm dead. My opponent also can probably do, like, a very simple, like, Street Wraith sort of line as well. Alright, the Doomsday has resolved. I have missed here. My opponent almost certainly will win the game on their turn. I think this is just kind of one of those things where, you know, my piece of interaction was taken after I mulliganed for it. Yeah, simple Street Wraith line. Okay. So this will just be Brainstorm into Playland, Thassa's Oracle with 2 things remaining in library. Oh, another Street Wraith. Sure, that's fine. Yep, there's the Thassa's Oracle. There's no way we ever win this matchup. GG's. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. Moxfield is a deck building website for Magic the Gathering, but they do a lot more than that. In addition to just deck building, you can also use it as a collection tracker, keeping track of what versions of cards you own, their condition, language, and even price, although that can sometimes be a little bit scary. So if you're looking for a website that can kind of do it all at once, please consider checking out Moxfield. They support my content. Okay. Have a weird hand here. I'm on the draw, so I'm going to get to look at another card. I have 2 copies of Sithis. I can get Basic Forest, Basic Plains to play these things. And then basically, as long as I draw enchantments, this hand is unexciting, but fine. I'm not sure if I should keep it, though. I have a little bit too much top end, and I don't have a piece of acceleration. I have no idea what I'm playing against. I think an acceleration hand is better than this one. I'm going to mulligan this one. This is similar to the last hand, but I think I like it better. I think I just throw back no, second Serra Sanctum probably goes here, actually. Yeah. So this one is similar to the last hand, but I have an extra piece of oomph to get things rolling here. Very similar to the last one, in fact. Alright, we'll fetch with the old border Prismatic Vista first. I still think I'm going to go ahead and play Wild Growth on turn 1, rather than waiting to play it after I play Sithis for an extra card draw. There's worlds where I just cast Sithis into Sithis to just draw a card and churn through my deck a little bit. Alright. Well, that makes me nervous. Basic Plains? Basic Plains seems fine. So I will cast a Sithis with a mana floating. And cast a Utopia Sprawl. A little bit worried about my opponent just having some sort of show and tell nonsense here. I think I just want more green. But I'm off to a pretty strong start, generally speaking. I can also like play a Sterling Grove before playing my next Sithis if I need to protect this from removal spells. Okay, cool. Ice Vanquaddle means that this is more likely a control deck than a dedicated like show and tell deck, like a combo deck. I was a little worried after seeing like no plays in the first 2 turns. Now, just to let the record show, there is a blue-green show and tell deck. Like, it's a thing that exists. It sometimes plays Ice Vanquaddles, sometimes plays something cute like a Eureka. Alright, opponent is going in with Ice Vanquaddle. I am fine with that. That could mean that they have another Ice Vanquaddle. I'm gonna have some mana. A little awkward that Utopia Sprawl specifically enchants forests, but I think that's fine. I think I'm going to go ahead and just start on Sterling Grove and just make things safer here. Do I want to put some Utopia Sprawls on a Savannah? I don't think so. Let's continue to do this thing. See where my hand goes. I'll just keep naming green with this. I think at this point I go ahead and play Serra Sanctum and tap it. And just, like, play the On Thin Ice. The On Thin Ice itself is not overly exciting. Use target snowland I control to enchant. I don't think... Oh, okay. This can just get rid of Ice Fang Coatl. I really don't want to use the last of my green. I could just play an On Thin Ice to try and not, like, just straight up treat this as a draw a card. I think I'm into that. Like, it's worth a life and a card for a redraw here. Alright. Not what I'm looking for. And you know what? We're gonna Utopia Sprawl this land. There's an Enchantress's present. That is fantastic. At this point, I will select black with that one. And I'm going to go ahead and call it a turn here. I am not going to attack with Sithis into an Ice Fang Coatl. And I feel like at this point, unless my opponent has a combo finish, I've probably overwhelmed a lot of the fair stuff that they can do. Like, they might require something like a prismatic ending for Sterling Grove into something else beyond that. Now, it does make me nervous here that they fetch Tropical Island specifically, and not a white source. That could be tilting the needle back in the direction of this being a dedicated combo deck. Okay, there's another land drop. The Volcanic Island. So the red might be for something like Minsk and Boo. Okay, there we go. This is all fine thus far. I assume that I'll just kind of churn through cards, and then, like, in a turn or two, that card won't really matter. If both those creatures come in. I think both should come in. They disagree? I'll take that damage. Again, I don't think I'm interested in junking a Sterling Grove here. Ho 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 ho. Yeah, that'll do. That'll do. Roughly how much mana? Oh, I have 2 Serra Sanctums. I have roughly 1 billion mana. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and tap a Serra Sanctum for now, just to put this in play. Actually, I could... Yeah, I would like to get to 4 this turn, I guess. Oh, no, maybe I go ahead and play the Enchantress's Presence first. Yeah, sure. Let's just treat white mana like colorless mana. Other Sithis isn't great. Fine, because I am about to draw a bajillion D cards. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Serra Paragon. Not what I am looking for right now, but it'll be good. So each one of these copies of Sithis is a draw 2. That also shrinks my opponent's team. I'll keep the one that can attack. Need to play 2 more. I think I just play the Sithis now. No, it's probably fine. Alright. Keep this Serra Sanctum. Tap this. Argothian Enchantress into a new copy of Sithis, which is real cool. Fantastic. I keep this Sithis that can attack. Now the next, who's he? What's it? Okay, yeah. Yep. So at some point in this turn, I could sacrifice Sterling Grove to tutor up something new, and then replay the Sterling Grove from my graveyard with Serra Paragon. So, like, we were popping off there. And if I found a Doom Foretold, I could use that to get rid of the Minsk and Boo there. Neat. Okay. Notably, this is non-token, which matters for Minsk and Boo. The Carpet of Flowers is good, and Choke is good. I don't know that I want anything beyond those cards. What do I want? What do I not want? My cards seem good. Maybe go down some number On Thin Ice or Paladin class. So in the world where my opponent doesn't have any permanents, I get a discard, a drain 2, a draw, a gain 2, a 2/2. A lot for 4 mana, but I think it's fine. I still want the Doomwake Giant for picking off my opponent's hamsters and Icefang Coatls and whatnot. Paladin class seems okay. The middle mode is kind of nice versus a Plague Engineer if that's something that happens, but I think it's expendable. And maybe go down a Solitary Confinement and down one on Thin Ice. Not 100% sure. This is a no mana hand. This is an auto mulligan. This hand's real good. Turn 1 Wild Growth, turn 2 Enchantress, land, Wild Growth. This is a keep. Now the question I have to ask is, do I keep the card that is almost certainly objectively correct to keep? Or do I keep the fun card? And I think I'm supposed to keep the good card. And it really pains me. I wish that was a 7. But, like, in the worlds where I eat a Sudden Edict or similar card, like, it's just so important for me to have the other Enchantress effect. Like, I can find, like, after I shuffle, I can find a Doom Foretold later. But I think I just need these effects. There's also worlds where I play Enchantress's Presence instead of Argothian Enchantress on turn 2. That I can play Argothian Enchantress on turn 3 and then play Wild Growth afterwards. But I think it's just better to get my mana acceleration into play ASAP. We'll see. Like, I'll reevaluate the hand after I draw. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's disgusting. Alright. I don't need white mana right now. This will just be another forest. Fantastic. Forest. Carpet O Flowers. Oh man, is it resolving? Is it resolving? Oh shit, it's resolving! Oh, this is disgusting. Yes. I will make green. I will wild growth another forest. I found solitary confinement. Buckle up, folks. We are going full speed ahead. I don't want to be in my opponent's shoes right now. Like, I have multiple pieces of mana acceleration. An enchantment sweeper is, like, almost certainly not in their deck. Prismatic Ending doesn't hit Argothian Enchantress. They did have a Taiga to not contribute another land to Carpet of Flowers, so, like, that's good for them. Alright, there's a Tarn. Right now I've got 2, 4, 5 mana. I'll probably just make the Carpet of Flowers mana in main phase 1. Some worlds where they respond with Scalding Tarn, but I think I like playing it here. Yeah, I'm just making green. I think I'm going to start with a Utopia Sprawl here, rather than an Enchantress's Presence. Just going to be a little cleaner in some ways. This is going to make white. I'm going to go ahead and go 3 mana. I think I'll play the Enchantress's Presence first. A little awkward if it gets countered for me not playing Destiny Spinner first, but I don't think Destiny Spinner itself is, like, innately super... Oh, yeah. Yeah, there we go. I like that. Just Ice Fang to draw. Ice Fang to draw. That's fine. This hand is starting to look kind of disgusting. Oh, cool. It resolved. So now I get to play Destiny Spinner, and I get 2 looks at a Serra Sanctum to just go wild here. Not that one. Not that one. Opponent did not go after Enchantress's Presence. Understood. Okay. That'll be an end to my turn for now. Next turn is probably real good. I have such a huge ability to grind with the cards that are in this hand. Red mana, Expressive Iteration then? Yep. Alright, that's a Misty Rain Forest into exile with Expressive Iteration. Feed me, Seymour. Narrator's voice. Seymour did not feed him. Living Wish? Okay. Alright, what is this gonna be? Oh, it's a Lurrus over there. Understood. So my opponent can, like, straight up just kill me next turn in a decent number of worlds. I need to look at the dungeons. It's a loss of life, not damage, right? Prevent all damage that would be done to you. You have Shroud. Does that thing target? Okay, it's each opponent. Unfortunately. What color am I making? Could be bottlenecked on white here in some worlds. Go with white. Although I'm gonna, like, use this mana very quickly. I think I need more looks at cards. I think I play this. Not what I'm looking for. I have this, I have 4 mana. Can't really get a Destiny Spinner kill this turn. I can probably get one next turn. Get a Sithis into play. Yield to these. Is this enters play? Enters under your control. Oh, I can't get this thing into play right now. Shoot, I'm so close. If I get this into play, I can stop the Allurin. Or no, I can't stop the Serra Allurin combo that way. Alright, well, I'm going to play a Solitary Confinement. My opponent may not realize that that doesn't actually stop their win, because I had to look it up, because I didn't know. Oh man, I'm 1 mana short of like playing Carpet of Flowers and then doing more cool shit. Alright, so I'll discard a couple of lands. I guess I discard this. It's not great right now. I can play all this stuff at instant speed. I guess I'll discard a Carpet of Flowers. I still need to discard more. I guess I discard this. Okay. I can draw a lot of cards at instant speed. I'm not sure that it actually does anything, but I can certainly try. The fact that my opponent has a combo finish explains why they didn't Force of Will my first Enchantress's presence earlier as well. Alright. How weird is this gonna get? This can get so weird. Alright, it's a Ponder. Don't do it. Have heart. Okay. An Allurin is in play. I know my opponent has a Sararak. Uh-huh. That's fine. May play a very strange game of chicken here. There's the Sararak. I want to cast a Destiny Spinner and draw 4 cards, because that is a thing that I am allowed to do. And if my opponent counters, I'll play another Destiny Spinner in response. Yield to all of these. Alright. My stuff is uncounterable. I also could probably just gain enough life that, like, it would become very difficult for my opponent to win in time. I don't think I'm going to play that way. Like, my opponent has stated that they watched my videos. Like, I don't need to grind for those super corner case percentage points here. I also don't know if I'm playing to any outs. I could just look at my deck list and try to figure that out. But this is more fun to me. Oh, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to see if I can mill myself. That would be really funny. Alright. Okay, my stuff has come to an end. I'm going to go until my opponent drains me once. Just to make sure they know that, like, the draining is not stopped by solitary confinement. Like, normally I'd concede here, but I just, like, want to make sure that they know that Dark Pool still hits me. And if they know that Dark Pool still hits me, I will concede. Alright, they've gone into the mine tunnels. Alright, so this is the moment of truth. Okay, yeah. Alright, so they do know that that's a kill. I think I could probably time my opponent out if I force them to play this out, but I'm not gonna do that here. You know, if this was a big scary, you know, yeah, opponent just says mercy. Yeah. Wanted to make sure you knew your kill still worked through solitary. Yeah, if this was like an event that truly mattered, like, you know, a legacy challenge or greater, I would make them play it out there. Not in a casual league. Actually, this doesn't actually stop their combo. I'm not super great at beating Allurin itself. I'm very good at beating all of my opponent's mid-rangey blue stuff. Now that I know my opponent is Allurin, Solitary Confinement becomes a lot less cool. It's like still fine versus Minsk and Boo. I don't know that I'm really in on Solitary Confinement anymore. Like, I could play another Doom Foretold. Another way to make my opponent sacrifice relevant permanents. I can also just play Paladin. Like, I can play 2 Paladin classes, because in the worlds where I get to level those up, the double strike means it's very easy to kill with a Destiny Spinner. I'll definitely play 1, Maybe it's just one. I still like this stuff for the times that I have to grind through what my opponent is doing. This hand is great. Alright, my opponent has kept a 6-card hand. I'm absolutely just doing mana acceleration on turn 1 here. I'll grab a basic forest. I think I'll play Utopia Sprawl. Just on green here to start things off. I can get a dual land pretty safely with Verdant Catacombs to cast Doomwake Giant later. But I often bottleneck on green mana, not on white mana. I think I want to just use my mana efficiently here and open myself up to a counterspell. Not 100% sure, but I kind of feel like time is of the essence here. My opponent has a combo finish, and I think I accept this if it gets countered, because I still just have, like, beat you to death with Doomwake Giant uncounterably as, like, something that is coming in the not too distant future. So, like, this is already 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The next turn I play Destiny Spinner and whatever else I draw, and then I play Doomwake Giant afterwards, and I keep a lot of smaller threats out of the way. I might be wrong. Maybe I'm supposed to just play Destiny Spinner and pass the turn there. Alright, cool. No way for me to Destiny Spinner and Doomwake Giant this turn, so I think I'm good with this. These things will be uncounterable, and I think I'll just play them all out. Oh, I'm going to need to fetch first. Given what I've seen so far, it seems safe enough to grab Savannah here. I'll just continue to stack up on my basic land in case I'm wrong and my opponent does have Minsk and Boo in their greed pile. How big would the land I animate be? I have 4 enchantments, so I can make a 4/4. I can swing for 6 next turn. That's probably worse than just playing Doomwake Giant, though. Just in the long term here. We'll see, though, if I lose this one for, like, trying to play mana efficiently. My Destiny Spinner itself can probably attack on my turn. Icefang Coatl won't have Death Touch. They don't have 3 mana for, like, an Endurance type card. Oh, that's mighty interesting. Can I animate 2 lands? So, this taps for 4. This also taps for 4. Oh, that's convenient. To just swing with 2 4/4s by tapping 2 of my lands. Opponent says, what a great win con. Yeah. It's pretty good with Serra's Sanctum, he says as he plays Serra's Sanctum. 8 mana. 4 mana, animate Bayou. Target the other Savannah. This is 10 incoming damage. My opponent is, in theory, dead to this next turn. Now, that is in theory. Like, they can have removal spells or whatever. They can just combo me off. But this is definitely a spooky amount of pressure. Basic Mountain. Sure. That feels like the brainstorm that's looking to assemble a Lurrus combo. Take 10. Take 10. Opponent drops to 7. So what do you got? Alright, there's a land drop. A Lurrus could be coming here. That's Taiga. That's green. It's a Lurrus. Is there the Acererak? Not yet. Oh. Okay. In the worlds where I go all in here, I have some tramplers. Oh, actually, I can cast Sithis at any time at instant speed. I'm thinking about whether or not I want to play Doomwake Giant. So I can play Doomwake Giant. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. By tapping Serra Sanctum and Bayou. That gets Icefang Coatl out of the way. Allows me to animate 1 land, which would be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6/6 creature. That is still, in theory, lethal. Is that better than just attacking with 3 different bodies? I think getting the Doomwake into Giant... I think getting Doomwake into play is pretty safe. Just allows me instant speed nonsense that still kills my opponent. This is uncounterable as of right now. Okay, cool. So there's 4 mana. Animate this land. In theory, a lethal attack, and Sithis gets any X1 blockers out of the way. Oh, shit, it's an endurance instead. Okay. So, just doing the math here. If my opponent had endurance, they could have gone block, block, taken 4, not be dead. Okay, this is fine so far. I think I don't show Sithis here. I can deal more damage to my opponent if I do show Sithis, but I think this has the possibility of fucking with some of my opponent's lines in the future. Because they're almost certainly dead to damage next turn anyway. I think I'm good with this. Alright, so this is going to be 3 total damage, putting my opponent to 3, and I still have a trick up my sleeve. Please don't top deck a Serra Rack. That is a Misty Rainforest in exile. That's fine. Like, the scarier thing is, what's the other card they put in their hand? It's a Ponder. Alright. They didn't shuffle. They're presumably, they like found a new Ponder or a new Brainstorm or something. Ah, fuck, it's Living Wish. The Living Wish gets the Acererak, and then I die. Yeah, so given amount of time on clock, like, my opponent can't combo off 2 times within 6 minutes. So that could have been a win if I didn't concede for ease of use there. GG's. Alright, this is round 3. We're probably playing against Oops All Spells, in which case we lose game 1, and we probably lose one of games 2 and 3. In the worlds where this isn't Oops All Spells, this is a pretty good hand that's a little slow. I just do not believe physically that I can beat Oops All Spells in game 1. I am not going to try. Yep, alright, we lose game 1. Oh, that's 2 Summoners packs, sure. Okay, Wild Cantor, Dark Ritual, there's the Undercity Informer, sacrifice it, mill yourself, or a bunch of Narcomoebas. Then there will be a Dread Return on Thassa's Oracle. There's a Reanimate in this list for some reason. Interesting. Sure, that's fine. Alright, there's the Dread Return on Thassa's Oracle. GG's. Alright. Deafening Silence in. Collector Oops, fine. There's a little bit of artifact mana over there. Endurance is actively good. Again, we have borderline no ability to win this game. And like, our solitary confinement doesn't stop Thassa's Oracle, as we have already learned while playing against Doomsday. So solitary confinement can probably come out. This stuff's too slow. There's fringe worlds where a Doomwake Giant can matter, but they're super fringe. One Thing Ice isn't really great. I'll probably keep it still. Okay, so few cards that matter. Maybe Doomwake Giant comes out anyway, and I'll probably board out a Carpet of Flowers. I still think I'll keep a Carpet of Flowers just as a 1-mana green thing to cast. I think that's better than a Green Sun. Like, Green Sunning for Endurance isn't what I need. I just need it in my hand. So I think I'll call this good. Deafening Silence is a reasonable Magic the Gathering card. This is an unexciting hand to keep. I don't think this is really good enough. But I don't think my deck is geared to beat these fast combo decks. Like, I expect to lose to any sort of deck trying to play Thassa's Oracle. You're thinking about whether or not to shock with this. Or, I guess it's not a shock, it's 3 life, but you get the idea. Another Deafening Silence. Force of Vigor is one of the things that I kind of would expect my opponent to play to deal with this sort of stuff, so I don't think I just want to play out another this turn. I'm going to go ahead and grab a Forest and play Sithis here. While Sithis isn't exactly fantastic, and like Destiny Spinner is a better card to have in play, I think I just need some more gas. Notably, the rest in pieces that I took out of my deck to play the cute fun things are very much being missed here. Rest in peace gives me some potential, like, turn 1 things that I can do versus, or sorry, turn 2 plays that I can do versus this deck. Alright, my other copy of Deafening Silence has been taken. That's fine. There's worlds where some sort of, like, Abrupt Decay or Nature's Claim sort of card kills this first Deafening Silence. Yeah. But again, I'm more expecting Force of Vigor. Why I didn't play out the other one last turn. I think I'll probably die next turn. So I don't think one of these plays versus the other particularly matters. And note that last turn I couldn't have played Sterling Grove to go and play around Force of Vigor because if my opponent has it there, they just get rid of my relevant hate card in response. So that doesn't succeed at the thing that I want to succeed at. Go ahead and Utopia Sprawl here. Aiming green, get a Destiny Spinner into play. And I think I'm probably comfortable doing an upkeep tutor or Deafening Silence again next turn. I do have 3 copies. I really wanted to have some other options available though. And like, this is an awkward turn in some ways because like this is Savannah, this is like green. So this wastes some mana, but hopefully that's fine. Alright, I draw the Deafening Silence. This is an enchantment creature, so if my opponent does have another force, like, that's a thing that can happen. Take 2. I'll go ahead and drop the Deafening Silence into play. And then I can hopefully do this whole Enchantress Presence, play a few things, get a Serra Sanctum, kill my opponent. I do have to worry about my opponent just, like, doing things over the course of a couple of turns, which is pretty likely to just happen here. So my opponent just does Undercity Informer, and then Dread Return is the one spell that they play this turn. Yep, that's fine. I see the Thassa's Oracle. Where is the Dread Return? There is a Reanimate. Sure, that's fine. Please give me a pairing that does not have a combo finish so my cards can do things. Oh, my opponent has said a nice thing. Alright, easy mulligan here. I don't have any starting mana. Don't have an Enchantress effect here. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to go to 5 for it. I can just, like, go a Destiny Spinner beat down route if I miss. I think I keep this. A little questionable. Alright, Flooded Strand. Could be playing against a Delver deck. I would not care if I got Stifled here. I think given that information, I'm just going to go ahead and fetch. Grab a Forest. Play a Wild Growth. Alright, it has resolved. That doesn't mean a lot, though. Alright. Fetch from my... I am uncomfortable around this Underground Sea. Please don't Doomsday me. I just want to play with 4 mana cards. Slightly awkward turn. So I always play basic Forest. I think I go ahead and do this. Go for the Utopia Sprawl. Put it on white. And I have 3 mana. Gets me a Destiny Spinner. My opponent is Doomsday. This sort of thing is about as good as I can be at clocking them. I'm playing this card around Daze. Brainstorm's fine. Are we resolving? Not resolving. Pitching Daze, which I did play around. I do kind of have the question of whether or not my opponent had Daze for the initial Wild Growth. Seems to me like they're just going to play a black land and cast a Doomsday, though, and I'm going to die. Yeah, we're playing against Doomsday. So this is going to be an 0-4 drop league. Oh shit, it's not Doomsday yet. Artisan, if you just went to the post-main phase to pull up my heartstrings and now you're going to cast a Doomsday, I'm going to be super salty. I just got my hopes up. Hell yeah. Sterling Grove. That's not bad. Not innately good either, but it's not bad. So I can go ahead and play Destiny Spinner. Do an uncounterable Sterling Grove. And now I'm a little bit better at potentially beating a Doomsday. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Enchantment is a 4/4. I can attack for 6 currently. Not lethal. It's lethal with a fetch land, though. So that's cool. I can now beat a pass the turn Doomsday pile. Your Duress whiffs. Alright, cool. I think I'm going to go ahead and get a land out of my deck here. I'll pull the Bayou out. I basically don't have any game 1 enchantments that matter here. Or do I? I can make my opponent discard a card, lose 2. Paladin class and level up once isn't great. I just throwing hands? I think I'm just throwing hands. Alright. Vista not really where I want to be. Alright, animate a land. Bash in for 6. Opponent is at 7. Oh. I won. Huh. That was unexpected. Wow. Skillfully navigated matchup. Oh my god, I got so lucky there. Alright. Deafening Silence in. Endurance in. I probably go Carpet in. Probably go Choke in. Doesn't always work. Probably do that. So, On Thin Ice is coming out. Solitary Confinement probably comes out. Oblivion Ring can be a nice one-of for something weird that happens. I don't think I'm into it. From here, it gets a little harder. Doomwake Giant goes out. Then it gets a little harder. Serra Paragon's probably come out. Do I actually want Doom Foretold? Because I almost tutored for it. Like, I almost tutored for that card. It's a very expensive discard and drain. But, like, I'm looking at Collector Oof, which is very medium. I'm looking at Paladin class Doom Foretold. Paladin class helps my stuff be uncounterable, which is cool. Doom Foretold's probably a little slow on the draw. Let's keep 1. This is a keep. I get turn 1 Deafening Silence. Probably. Turn 2 Sithis. There's a world where I play Paladin class first. I don't know that I have time. Like, Dark Ritual very much is a thing that exists. Alright, well, Thoughtseize makes my choice for me. Almost certainly taking Deafening Silence, yeah. Got a decent amount of air here, but again, most of the things in my deck are enchantments that are just going to be redraws. Exhibit A, redraw. I just want to play Wild Growth this turn. Then next turn I have 3 mana, which can be Sithis and Paladin class. Yeah, I think the acceleration is good. Like, awkward if my opponent dazes me right there, but I just don't have time to play patiently versus things like Daze when I am as scared as I am of the combo finish. Oh shit, I actually can't play Sithis and Paladin class next turn. I'm limited on white. That was probably an error on my part. I was probably supposed to just play the Paladin class. Save Wild Growth to be a card draw. Yeah, that's really awkward. Maybe it's not as bad as I think it is, actually. Because then it lets me play Sithis around Daze. And, like, keeps Paladin class as a card draw. Or that can happen. Like that a lot. Let's fetch. Grab Plains. Actually, I can grab Savannah. This sort of, like, doubly makes my stuff uncounterable. I want to play this in the other sequence, don't I? I want to do this one first, because if one of these gets countered, I want it to be Paladin class. I drop the Destiny Spinner. Been a bit of an awkward game for me. Like, it's only been 2 turns, but it has felt a little awkward for me. Alright, here we go. It's happening. Alright. Oh, they are just going to win right now. I'm not even going to get another turn. Okay, there's Cycle Edge of Autumn. Then my opponent will make a land drop, fetch a land out, and play Thassa's Oracle, which leaves them with 2 cards left in library. Yep. Alright, so there's some worlds where I could have played this differently and would have gotten 1 card deeper. That would not have mattered. Alright. Yeah, Turbo Destiny Spinner, I guess, is the plan. With Deafening Silence, Choke, being able to help out a little bit. Not a lot. I think I'm going to submit like this. I'm going to keep this hand. It offers a turn 2 choke. Or a turn 3 uncounterable choke, which could be better in some worlds. I always start with Wild Growth, so like let's just do that and then see where the hand goes. The issue is like the longer I wait on choke, the more chances it can just be taken with Duress or Thoughtseize effect. Okay, sure. Playing the choke this... Ooh. Nice. So I'm going to set up for an uncounterable choke next turn. So I'll play Destiny Spinner around Daze. Alright, it got forced instead. That's fine. I'll play Paladin class into Daze. Alright, it's resolved. Now I hope that my opponent, like, taps 2, like, islands for a Doomsday. That way, I can choke them and potentially make it so their Doomsday pile doesn't work. This is the dream. Okay, it's happening. It's happening! Okay. Now, there are possible Doomsday piles that my opponent can build that just completely ignore choke, but that probably doesn't happen here. And I'm not going to bother to look at their cards, because, like, I know what I'm about. It is choke. I guess it's also Carpet of Flowers. Yeah, so I can just play that. In second main phase, we'll make some white mana. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 total mana. I have multiple green. I can go ahead and play Sterling Grove into choke. Did we do it? This is a Shrouded choke, so it's going nowhere. I like this pause. This pause feels like I just stole a game. Yes! Okay. Again, I don't really think we beat Doomsday. But we're not 0-4 drop. So we get one more round to try and resolve our 4 mana cards and do fun things. Alright, unfortunately we have a no mana opening hand. This one's an auto mulligan. This is a slow but powerful hand. I'll keep this pitching one of the lands. Please not combo. They do love me a combo deck, but not 5 rounds in a row. Monkey's Paw curls, it's blue-red Delver. Okay. Chalice time? Chalice time. Luckily, Chalice of the Void is a very powerful card, and will counter all of my 1-drops. We're gonna be okay. So I think I'm gonna get one of each basic here. Forest and Plains. And then... I think I'm interested in Sithis this turn. It becomes awkward, very specifically, if my opponent plays another Ancient Tomb and a Chalice of the Void on 2, and then I didn't play Destiny Spinner and I lose the game because of it. But otherwise, I think I want the extra cards here. Okay, there's an aggro card. That's fine. What is going under Chrome Mox? Batterskull Smashing. A Trinisphere. That's fine. So now I'll go ahead and put this into play. In some life and draw a card. And I already have one thing back for a Goblin token already. I think I'm good with doing this. We're pretty good versus the Goblin Rabble Master type cards. Fury's fine. Fury only kills one of these. Okay, that's fine. We're going for the Destiny Spinner. Argothian Enchantress. So... feels like my sequencing... oh, right. Trinisphere. Sequencing doesn't quite work out in my favor here. Grab a Forest. This is 3 mana, 4 mana. If I play Sterling Grove, I can make it 5 mana. I think I'm just interested in playing an Enchantress, though. Yeah, I think I'm just interested in playing an Enchantress. Slightly longer term, what I want to do... my fun's at 10. Would I be fine taking one from a Goblin token? Yes. I'll pressure them. Slightly longer term, what I want to do is just Sterling Grove for Solitary Confinement. And I want another... Who's-he, what's it? Another Enchantress effect in play before I do that. Okay. So we'll go ahead and 3 mana Sterling Grove. Gets me 2 cards. Multiple Serra Sanctums. This is worth 2 mana right now. I don't really want to do that. So I'll just sacrifice this on their end step, put Solitary Confinement on top of my library, and win. No need to make attacks here. Opponent's at 7, so it will not be hard to kill them. There goes a Blood Moon and a Fury. Oh, they're pitching a Spirit Guide. Sure, a War Boss is not that big of a deal. About to just lock them out in terms of like damage and whatnot. Fine. And like there's no tricks because they have no cards in hand. I'll take 2. Sacrifice a Sterling Grove. Search for Solitary Confinement. Draw it. I think I tap this here. 1, 2, 3 mana. Play Solitary Confinement. Always yield to these. Draw my 2 cards. This now taps for 2 mana. I'm fine Legend ruling that. 1, 2, 3. There's an Enchantress's presence. And I'm very much good from here. It takes a little while for me to actually win the game, but I certainly do not lose. Yeah, and opponent recognizes that. Okay. Carpet Flowers can come out. I don't want that stuff. I don't want Choke. The stuff that's over here is the stuff that I can consider. I'm not super interested in Paladin class. Like, if I win, I will win pretty hard. Like, the double strike is not going to be relevant. Sterling Grove to search up Solitary Confinement is good. Collector Oof is okay. It, like, shuts off just a couple cards in their deck, though. Endurance as 3/4s, totally legit. Just straight up as turn 2 blockers for goblin cards. I think I play the playset of those. And then I'm thinking about numbers of, like, Green Sun and Doom Foretold. I think I really like Serra Paragon here. Like, in the worlds where some of my stuff gets furied, I just bring it back in the late game. Doom Foretold better than Serra Paragon or worse? They're both a little sketchy on the mana in like Blood Moon type situations. Let's run it like this. Alright, how is my hand? Assuming that I actually get to fetch, it's Forest, Wild Growth into like an Enchantress effect and on Thin Ice. Hand's reasonable, but is kind of bad against a handful of things that my opponent can have. I still think I keep it, but I just have to accept that, like, sometimes a very good Chalice of the Void happens on turn 1. Yeah, that's a Chandra Awakened Inferno. That is a turn 1 Blood Moon, which is horrifying. I do have a decent number of basics that I can draw, but this is one of those things where my opponent might just win the game for being on the play, and I don't have something like Force of Vigor to do something disgusting back. Alright, there is a Rabble Master. If I rip a Plains, I'm so good here. But otherwise, I'll die pretty quickly. So this is just like the 5th match in a row where my opponent has just played a deck that kills me extremely quickly. My grindy stuff is a little bit better here because it's like not a legitimate combo finish. But I'm just legit dead next turn. Like, I am at 11. Yeah. I concede here. That's what happens when you are on the draw versus this deck and you don't have free counter magic. I'm gonna keep the Doom Foretold in. Like, it's possibly correct that like Collector Oof is just better as something that can get in the way of a Goblin Rabble Master, but I am at least gonna try to make the card in the thumbnail work, you know? And on that note, I will keep this hand. I need to play Utopia Sprawl on black on turn 1. Yeah, then I play Forest on turn 2 into Endurance. Into Savannah Doom Foretold on turn 3. Yeah, that's fine. Alright. Alright, Doom Foretold. You get to do something in a lot of worlds here. Although there are worlds where I do just get, like, Blood Mooned, and I lose access to this white mana, and then I can't actually cast the Doom Foretold, so we'll see where that goes. Ooh. Oh, do I just do that here? Yeah, I probably just do that here. That's really strong. Like, it results in me taking a little bit of damage in some worlds, but it just feels right. Chronosphere is fine. Alright. How do I feel about the Doom Foretold? Just makes my opponent sacrifice the Trinisphere. And things get a little weird. I can probably sacrifice my Utopia Sprawl and not care about it. Like, I'm playing one card a turn anyway. Yeah, alright, let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. Like, it's round 5. I want to see if this card will actually do something that matters. Oh, that's very good follow-up. Alright, Doom Foretold. Here we go. Here we go. Goodbye, Trinisphere. Alright, so my opponent's gonna wait it out now. Probably just means I sacrifice the Doom Foretold to itself here. Which, whatever, I guess that's fine. Unless I want to just still sacrifice Utopia Sprawl. Like, I can sacrifice my Utopia Sprawl after just playing an Endurance out in this phase and still, like, do some Wild Growth shit. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm good with that. You can have a Trinisphere back in your deck. Alright, sacrifice Utopia Sprawl. Ooh, Sithis? Okay. Yeah, Sithis is fine here. Sithis, like, cantrips, draws me a card, makes future enchantments in my hand better. Stomp? Stomp is fine. I don't mind that trade. So now my opponent can't do the Doom Foretold thing. Alright, so they've discarded a card. I've drawn a card. I've gotten a Knight token. My onboard presence is pretty good. My removal spells cantrip. And may, in fact, cantrip multiple times. Yeah, I feel very far ahead here. I would admittedly like to rip another Doom Foretold. I think I'm going to go ahead and set up to basically win the game next turn. A little awkward. I think I'm supposed to do this like this. Always yield to these. Oh, it's a new Sithis. So a Destiny Spinner. On Thin Ice. Target one of my lands. Do Ye Old Draw 2. Get Bone Crusher Giant out of the way. 1 green mana. I think I'll go ahead and fetch a forest here. Utopia Sprawl. This land. Draw 2. I'll just name green. Have 2 mana available. That's fine. Just being a Destiny Spinner. That means that I can probably just, like, Serra Sanctum and kill my opponent next turn. Alright, admittedly, the Doom Foretold getting that Trinisphere out of the way was pretty hot. Yeah, hello and good luck, opponent. So we have ended up with a 2-3 in the league after a very brutal set of pairings. Overall thoughts on the deck list. Obviously, we're not good versus combo, but I don't think this deck list is actually that bad. Now, the caveat there is that Enchantress itself is probably a deck that has been mostly power crept out of Legacy. At least in an iteration that looks like this. Like, maybe you can play a Rest in Peace version and help keep up with, like, the Blue-Red Delver, Murktide Regent, Dragon Rage Channeler, or, like, Uro-style threats that are, like, just so efficient and fueled by the graveyard. But it used to be that when you play a powerful enchantment, it just, like, resolves and is there forever. And now cards like Force of Vigor and Prismatic Ending just make that less true. Doom Foretold is a really interesting card. It was powerful in that last round. It did something unique. Like, it killed a Trinisphere while cantripping, giving me a body, and making my opponent discard a card. Like, 4 mana is a lot to ask. That was worth 4 mana. And Serra Paragon, while I never actually played a card with it, is a unique sort of thing. Like, there might be something here with some of these cards in conjunction with each other, but it was so hard for me to get a balanced view of what this deck is going to be like, based on a league where I mostly get Thassa's Oracled out of the games. And, like, if I was in absolute try-hard mode, this could have been a 3-2 league, because I, like, would have timed out the Allurin player. But even then, you know, it would have been, like, technical win on the scoreboard, but, you know, the deck lost. My opponent just couldn't finish the kill in time, you know? That's one of those things that takes 2 seconds in paper, 5 minutes in real life. As far as the sideboard options and such go, feel pretty good about the stuff that's here. Again, though, the matchups that I saw gave me a very skewed perspective, and it may be that if you're just like playing leagues with something like this, you need to like go even deeper on the graveyard hate than I did. Although the graveyard hate doesn't help you versus Doomsday. Doomsday is a deck that's really hard to hate out, though. Anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please click the like button. It helps out a lot. If you find yourself in the financial position to support me, please consider becoming a Patreon supporter, a YouTube member, or doing a donation deck list to get one of your own decks on the channel. Have a great rest of the day. See ya!